guys' selection this morning?
301.
306 and what?
51.
51. Do 306 first. 306. Number 51. 51.
come to this morning with a thankful heart for this another day, Lord, and your opportunity for us once again to be out here, worship thee in the truth and the spirit. We just ask, Lord, if you just come be in this service this day, Lord, be Brother Mark, he brings a message, Lord, that you bless him with the message that's needed, Lord, and just may you take that message and convict some lost soul's heart here this day. They can find that peace that only you can give before they leave this place this day. Just pray, Lord, you hold those that's sick this day, Lord, especially the church members, Lord, that you bless them with the health and allow them once again to get back in this service. Even all those others that's prayer has been requested for here this morning, Lord, there's so many. Just not forget some of them, but try to name them all, Lord, and just pray that you know who they are. Just pray that you look at each one. Just pray, Lord, a special prayer for Terry Rittman, Lord. He's got cancer that's looking bad at this time, Lord, and just pray that you can put a little healing hand upon him. Just pray that you be to this country, Lord. It's our state. We don't have nothing to lose. Satan led, Lord. We just pray that you will impress upon your people to get out and go to the polls and let people lead this nation in godly ways. Just pray, Lord, that protect their military and their firemen, policemen, first responders as they out each day. Pray now, Lord, that you go and receive the other proceeds of this. Lead, guide, and direct it for your honor and your glory. In Jesus' name we beg.
Amen. I'd like to welcome everyone out this morning. I hope everyone come with a prayer in the heart for today's service. I know Brother Mark desires the answers to their prayers. He gets ready to take a stand here shortly, so be much in prayer for him. Everyone just follow the Lord here. Today, that's what we're here for, just to give him all the honor and worship, glory that he deserves. This time, we're going to take up a regular morning offering. After this, we'll turn it over to Brother Mark. If you would, stand turn number 305. 305.
Thank you, Brother Craig, Brother Steve. Appreciate the opportunity to be back this morning. Thank the Lord for the privilege. Always good to be at the house of the Lord. And just to be able to feel His presence even here or at home or on the road, wherever we might be. It's always good place to feel the Spirit of the Lord. And just thankful that we have the health enough to be able to come out. And there's a lot of sickness and things that plagues people. And that's secondary to soul sickness. We want to see folks get saved. Have had a burden for several weeks for the lost. And I hope maybe this year, not too far in it, but I hope that we can see lots of people get saved, good results in that, and revivals and things break out. So it's just good to be able to be saved. I know that. So, but it is good to see everyone. Glad to have our friends with us, neighbors, visiting with us. If you come, well, we appreciate that. If you're listening on Facebook, we're glad to have you on there as well and listening. Do pray for the service and the message this morning. I was thinking about last week. Had a good time myself and good service, and thank the Lord for showing up from week to week. But pray for those other churches, our sister churches and preaching brethren. Pray for them. Some of them got to visit last week because of the weather and things. But we do cherish our sister churches and the love one for the other. Do pray for the revivals coming up. I don't know if I've mentioned it or not. I wanted to for sure this morning. Second Baptist will have their youth revival coming up in just a few weeks. And I meant to announce that Wednesday night and failed to do so, but do remember them over there and pray for that effort meeting. We also will have an effort meeting, youth revival coming up in a few months, so pray for that as well. But pray one for the other. But it's good to see everybody out. Pretty good crowd this morning, so I appreciate you coming, putting forth the effort, and trying to mind after the Lord. And I know some of the others, older ones, haven't been able to come out as well because of difficulties with the weather and things, so we're glad to have y'all back this morning. Smiling faces. Missed you when you can't come. I understand people can't come every Sunday, and I know the Lord knows that too. And still missing some today, but we sure appreciate you when you are able to come and be with us. Glad to have the young folks again, always. And they're the church of today, but also out there in the future if time lasts. So I appreciate you much. And do pray for those that are sick. Brother Nick had surgery this week. I know we all have been trying to keep up with those that have had surgery this week. And he's doing, I think, really good. I don't know how he feels. I'm sure he's in pain and stuff at times, but I think he come through real good, and I'm glad for him, Sister Julie, and the kids. And I think he's maybe going to be able to take that feeding tube out this evening. So that's a plus. And I don't know how that is. I've never experienced that, but I'm sure it's not real comfortable. But anyway, I hope they can do that for him. But I think he's doing real well. Brother Danny had surgery on Wednesday. Had his gallbladder out. He's still pretty sore, I think. So he said he might try to come today, but I think he just didn't want to try it. So, but just pray for him, Sister Linda, as well, as they try to recover from that. And there are other things too that's going on with them. Praying that the Lord help them bear all that's on them as well. And I'm probably going to miss somebody because there's a lot of folks sick, seem like anymore. I know Brother Paul's had a bout with his heart. Still got to go back to the doctor. I think he said maybe on the 13th. And see him again. Brother Steve got to have surgery coming up. And so pray for him. That's next month, I reckon. So just pray for him and his surgery as that comes off. Those that have got cancer, we know there's been some going and trying to deal with that for a while now. So remember to pray for them, Sister Jody. And somebody made mention of another one that's got cancer. Was it Brother Rickman? Is that right?
Yeah.
He's got cancer on him as well. And the other things, I think he may have had some blood clots, and some of the blood clots that the coach has at school. So pray for her. They say she's doing a bit better. Sister Sharon I think is doing well. She's just amazing, I tell you. Well, I know it's by the Lord's help, but she's been struggling for years now, and but the Lord seems like just keeping her around for a reason. I don't know. It may be a witness to those doctors and nurses. I don't know what it is. her and Brother Randall both, but just pray for them. They say she might get to come home maybe Tuesday, so I sure hope so for their sake. But I just thank the Lord for blessing them and helping her health as the way that He has. And others, I know, have lost loved ones this week. There's been some death around. Remember those families that have been affected by that the Lord help them bear that. And it's never easy to give up folks, but the Lord's able to help and comfort us and get us through those really hard times. So just pray for those folks and those families. Anybody got anything on your heart you want to say or do? Now, Brother Craig does an awful good job welcoming everyone. And you do mind the Lord, mind the Spirit. If you've got to do something, the Lord impresses you to do that, you mind the Lord now. You're not going to get in the way of the service. If you have to stand straight up while I'm preaching and say something, you go right ahead. It won't bother me a bit. I might pause, and if I need to keep going, I will, and you just keep going too, and the Lord take care of all of that. He can hear everybody at the same time if He wants to. So, but anyway, it's good to be here this morning. Pray for me. I do desire your prayers. We having a little bit of a health problem too, so hopefully we'll get over that in a few days, and so maybe get in better shape ourselves. Have I missed anybody? Anybody got anything on your heart?
Brother Nick wants us to sing It's So Peaceful.
All right, there you go. Yeah, he said he'd be listening this morning. You know. And so, everybody mind the Lord. This is for you, brother. Nick.
Thank you.
songs. I hope Brother Nick got a blessing out of the song. And,
Yeah.
I did myself. I'm satisfied others did too. And just thank him for saving grace and for being in our midst. And sometimes we just we get still long enough or quiet long enough, we can meditate a little bit and get close enough to the Lord. We can feel His presence real close. And I'm glad it's that way. And just good to be here. I never know how service is going to go, but I'm sure I'm glad that the Lord knows how it needs to go if we'll be willing to follow Him. And, maybe there's something else on somebody's heart. I don't know how to run a service or nothing, but there is. You go ahead and speak up if you want to.
Mark, Sister Patricia has got to have surgery Wednesday on her back. So, and when we were singing the song, It's So Peaceful, and I know we've sang it before, but it just kind of hit me that it says, it's so peaceful in the arms of my Lord. It doesn't say the Lord, but my Lord.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
just reminds me, that it's a personal experience and a personal relationship. He's not just the Lord, but He is my Lord. And that just kind of struck me as we were singing that.
Yeah, it's a personal thing when you get saved. And He does it for everybody, but He's a big God and a big Lord and able to take care of everybody. So that's true. He's my God too. And do remember Sister Patricia. Pray for her. I think she had to have that maybe rescheduled. But anyway, do remember to pray for her and her surgery. Just like I said, a lot of things that's on folks, and pray that the Lord help them. Something else I wanted to make mention of too. Sister Brother Russell, she sent us a message out a few days ago asking us to pray for their family. Let's remember them and their little family there, that the Lord will help. Always need the Lord's help in making decisions, and I guess some are more important than others for sure, but every detail of our life, we want to include Him in everything, and so pray for that. The Lord will just help them know what to do and how to do. Anybody else got anything on your heart? I'm not in no real big hurry this morning. Just thank the Lord for the privilege to be back. And if you have your Bibles, I want to try to read some out of Ruth, the book of Ruth again. I say again because when these thoughts come to me, I thought, well, Lord, it seemed like I had preached on this a few months back, but if you preach long enough, you'll pretty much make a circle, and you'll preach on something more than once. But anyway, I do have a little bit different thought on it today, and I pray that the Lord just help deliver it the way that He wants it to be delivered. And remember all the men that are taking a stand, and those on the mission field and different things. Pray that the Lord just help. And I mentioned other revivals and things, so do remember to pray for revival season. In the second chapter of the book of Ruth, if you have your Bibles and would like to follow, I pray that you would. And it's a good practice and a good habit to bring Bibles and to follow along. There's a verse I want to look at the whole chapter, but I want to center in on one particular verse. And I'll give you the thought or the title if you want to have one of that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I feel the need. But it's in the 10th verse, and it's talking about, Ruth and Naomi. And we find that the verse says, Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground, and said unto him, Why have I found grace in thine eyes? Now, the song said that we were thankful to be saved by His grace. Now, everybody has been around long enough to know a little bit about grace, or have heard about grace. But anyway, I did find, and you always look at different definitions, and people word it maybe just a little different at times, but But I did find one as I was trying to study a little bit this week, and the definition that he gave says, favor or kindness shown without regard to the worth or merit of the one who receives it, and in spite of what that person deserves. I thought that was about as good a definition or defining grace as I've ever heard. We certainly don't deserve it. I don't. But he's long-suffering and he's patient with us and grants it unto us. It's a gift, according to the Apostle Paul in the book of Ephesians. And then there was another thought that came. He said grace is almost always associated with mercy, love, compassion, and patience. And, it's hard to separate any of those, the attributes of God. You can't hardly separate them at all. But I want to look at this chapter, and there's a lot that's going on in this particular chapter. I love the book of Ruth. It's not a real long book, but it's got a lot of meaning in it. And to make a long story short, in the first chapter, we covered this before a few months ago, but anyway, we find in the first chapter that Naomi lost her husband and her 2 sons, and she had 2 daughter-in-laws, and one of them stayed with her, and the other one didn't. We find here, so we know that Ruth was the one that stayed with her. Now the reading starts in the 2nd chapter, and it says, and Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a mighty man of wealth, and of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Boamite said unto Naomi, let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. Grace is covered pretty good in this chapter. And she said unto her, go, my daughter. Another thought too is grace is something that's given to someone. They, of course, don't maybe deserve that, but my thought too is, can we also distribute grace ourselves? I know the grace of God, it speaks of quite a bit, and we talk about it quite a bit, but can we administer grace one to the other? We can. And that's exactly what Boaz is going to do in this chapter. And she said, yes, you go ahead. She called her my daughter, and she said, you go ahead and you glean those ears. They were down to nothing, basically. In fact, Naomi talks about that. She says, she went out kind of in a high hand and comes back empty-handed there in that first chapter. So they didn't have much at all. And so she said, let me go glean the fields, or go out into the fields and gather what that I can. And she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And her hap was to light on a part of the field belonging unto Boaz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. It says that her hap was. We don't use that word at all much anymore. But it means circumstantial or unexpectedly. Kind of, it might be your desire. It could be something that would be considered a fortune, that you might happen into or get unexpectedly. But that's what she wanted. That was her desire, was to glean in the field of Boaz. I don't know what the difference was in his field, other than maybe his crops were much better and had more. But anyway, that was her desire, and that's what she wanted. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said unto the reapers, the Lord be with you. And they answered him, the Lord bless thee. Now, that was their conversation, or their salutations one to the other. You see, they were speaking to one another, and the reapers probably might be considered servants, but workers in the field for sure. And they addressed the master, if you would, or the owner, and they said, God bless you. And he said unto the reapers that they too might be blessed, or that their work might be successful. You see, and so they were encouraging one another, helping one another out there. And I tell you, kind words really go a long way. They do today too, and sometimes we forget maybe that. There's so much things that are going on around who distract us that it's not hardly that way, but that's really the way that we ought to talk one to the other. In fact, the Apostle Paul addresses that in the New Testament times too, in talking about those that had wealth or had money or had servants, to treat them fairly, to be good to them, to be kind to them, and likewise also the servant to the master. And then he says, then said Boaz unto the servant that was set over the reaper, whose damsel is this? Now, you get in your mind how that the situation is. Here, Boaz was the owner or the master, and he comes out and he rides up and he surveys what's going on in the field. And he realizes now she's not the only one, not the only maiden in the field, but he sees her. Somebody new out there, and he just asked a simple question there, who is she? And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, it is the Moabitess damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. Boy, ain't God good. You can see it working all the time in this life here and in our lives. Down to nothing as she goes out into the field. Something special about Ruth anyway, and we'll get into that in just a second, but she was one of a kind, if you would. If she left her country, left her people and followed after Naomi, there's something about her that's different. And she said, I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and hath continued even from the morning unto now, that she tarried a little in the house. Well, the one that was set over, or the main foreman, if you would, over the reapers, when he asked the question, who is she, or who is this damsel, he said, well, she come up to us, and she asked if she could glean in the fields. You see, sometimes, we have to be humbled enough, and if you're really going to be truly humbled, you've got to feel that within your heart and within your soul. And she knew they didn't have much there. It would be kind of like the homeless are today, or somebody that stood in need, the beggar on the street, as we call them. Sometimes they feel belittled, or in a low estate, and they might be a little timid to ask for some help, but she knew that not only for her sake, but also for Naomi's sake, they needed some help, and so she wasn't ashamed to ask for that help. And it's kind of like, to me too, if you stand in need of prayer, tell somebody about it. I know the Lord can work and do His job, but it's also important to lean on one another and ask for prayers from time to time. And she needed some help, and she said, he was talking about what Ruth had said to him. I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and hath continued even from the morning until now, for she tarried a little in the house. And I believe she was out there all day long. Reaping or gleaning those fields after the reapers went through. I don't know how, and I know most everybody's experienced working outside in the summertime in the heat of the day and things. And it's not sometimes for the faint of heart. But if you'll stay on it and work hard, it'll pay off. And it said there that she just spent or tarried a little in the house. So she wasn't a lazy person. She wasn't the one that just stayed laid up in the house all the time. She was a worker. And she had that desire and that zeal about her. It kind of reminded me of the story a little bit over in Genesis. There where Abraham sent the servant out to find Isaac a wife, and they go over toward Laban there, and there was a damsel that come out to water her daddy's flock there, and the servant come upon her, and he'd already prayed to God to send him a sign, if you would, that he would know who that he was supposed to call on or to pick for his wife. And she comes out there, I think that's in the 24th chapter maybe of Genesis, but she comes out there and draws water, and she sees this stranger, and he he asked for a little water there, and she gave him the water. She said, "Hey, she said, I'll take care of it. I'll go get some more water, and I'll water your camels, and I'll take care of them." She was a worker too. That was Rebecca. She was a worker too. And they tell me, I read this years ago, but it's kind of funny to me how much she was able or capable of working, but it said sometimes there, I went with, I think it was about 10 camels, over there, and they tell me that camels sometimes when they're down pretty low, they have the humps and all, but they store water, and they said they could drink up to 50 gallons at a time, 30 to 50. And I'm thinking, man, how many times did she have to go get water? I mean, if she had a pretty good vessel, then she had to pack that. I don't know if y'all have ever packed water or not, but it gets heavy. And sometimes you use too much, so you can balance yourself out. But how much? If they could drink 30 gallon or 50 gallon, and there was 10 of them, that's anywhere from 300 to 500 gallons of water or so there. I'm telling you, she was a worker too, and no doubt Ruth was too. She'd go out there and glean these fields. When we raised tobacco when I was a kid, Daddy was he was pretty tight, but if a leaf fell off, one leaf fell off on the ground, he'd make us boys go around and pick that up. And we weren't big enough to handle the tobacco, but we had to pick up all the leaves. You know what? You bend over that much, your back's going to start hurting after a little while. I'm telling you, it won't kill you. Hard work won't kill you. It might make you sore, but it'll make you what you are. And I know sometimes people say, well, I'm glad I went the route I did growing up. It makes me what I am today. That's true, you see. And so she wasn't lazy, and she didn't sit up in the house all the time. And you know what? I love you young folks. How about, let me tell you, it's not all about being on the technology or the phones or the TV. It's not all about that all the time, or the computers. You say, get out and get you some fresh air once in a while. I won't charge you nothing for that. But it's needed. And then said Boaz unto Ruth, hearest thou not my daughter? Now, if you look at that, it's almost like you might be saying, don't listen to me, but that's not what that he's saying. He said, hearest thou not, or listen up, really is what he was saying. That's quite the opposite. I just say, hear me when I talk at you or talk to you. I just say, and he said, listen to what I'm going to say. Now, he didn't have a harsh tone. I don't believe in that at all. I just say, but he just said, listen to me. He said, my daughter, now, you mind, he just met her. I just say, and he calls her his daughter. You see, that tells me a lot about his character. You see, when he addressed the reapers or servants, and then he addresses this a stranger, if you would, and calls her his daughter. You see, and it's funny because a lot of older people, you see, in the kindness of their heart, to other people or the younger folks, they'll call them son or daughter. Did you notice that? Still, that does go out today. You see, the Apostle Paul into Timothy and Titus and all those folks that he wrote to, but those two in particular, he called them his son. It's just that loving characteristics about them. He said, my daughter, go not to glean in another field. What was he saying to her? You stay right here. Stay as long as you want to. You glean every field I got, if you want to. You see, you don't have to go look in your other place. You see, stay in the field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. I told you she wasn't the only one out there. You see, there was other folks cleaning up the ground there. You see, and he said, you just stay with them. You see, you stay in the field and stay with the maidens there, the other workers in that field. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Where they go, you go too. You see, I'm satisfied he had more than one field. You know, but stay right there with them. Boy, I tell you what, this field, in my mind.